So, welcome back to 128KB. We have just finished playing Super Metroid on the SNES. I'm going to say it. It's the SNES, the SNES. We're in the room of games. It's a little bit hot today.
Oh, it's savage.
But yes, just finished playing it. Actually, it's on the SNES Mini because we want the HDMI output. But Super Metroid, the third installment in the Metroid series.
Yep.
Some 16-bit classic. Andy.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I love
Super
it.
Metroid.
I love it. So straight away, this is like heralded as the ultimate Metroid experience. You know, It's never been remade. It's never been touched again. Really, it's just exactly the same as it always was, because it's pretty much perfect.
And I'll say we've come off the back of, we're going through a bit of a Metroid binge, as it were.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, excitedly waiting for Dread to land. And we thought, let's do it in some kind of chronology. So we'll start on with the NES version, the original Metroid, and then going to Super Metroid soon afterwards. The difference is like night and day.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And I can see why this game was heralded as being so perfect, because even just by comparison, it's an incredible game.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
It's one I could happily binge and play over and over.
Yeah, and it's I played it quite some time ago, but it's been a long time since I've like retouched it.
Yeah.
And I had that sort of like, oh, we've just played Metroid 1. That was nails. The controls sucked, really. They kind of did, especially compared to Zero Mission. You know, so I was kind of thinking, oh, is Super Metroid not going to be as good as I remember and what everyone hypes it to be? Then as soon as we started playing it, like just instantly, I was like, oh, no, it's fine.
Epic.
This is really good.
Right from the start, before we get into the graphics, the gameplay, mechanics, and anything else, just the premise of the story, and not the waffly bit they put at the start, but the way you arrive in the game on planet Heebie-Jeebies, you arrive on your ship right at the start, and you descend from your ship into the map. That is missing on the first version. The first version, you kind of just arrive,
you're just
and
there.
you're in it.
Yeah,
this is nicer. You're outside, because obviously the whole point of Metroid is basically you're underground, going through. Kind of like an open dungeon basher in some respects.
Yeah, in a way.
You're going through caves and descending.
You're a
quite
bounty
a lot.
hunter looking for the Metroid stolen by the space pirates.
The space pirates. So to start on the planet's surface, in the elements, and you have visual representation of like the world around you, and the rain and stuff, and clouds.
It's atmospheric, isn't it?
They've set the tone perfectly at the start, for feeling like I'm about to embark on a mission. Yeah,
definitely.
And that's missing from the NES version.
Yeah.
And granted, we're talking about a whole generation of games apart.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And what's the difference? 8 years, is it?
I think it's 8 years, because it was 1986, and then this one was 94.
Yeah, 94. That sounds
I think
right.
it was.
Yeah. And they do like to leave huge gaps between Metroid games.
Yeah.
So there are huge leaps in that, but
definitely.
Just from the very beginning, you're like, I'm in and about to start a really cool adventure.
Yeah, the atmosphere is brilliant. And also the music is like night and day better.
Yeah.
And it really sets that scene.
It really does.
It really, really does.
So, like, carrying on in that Metroidvania theme, they don't just drop you into a map and you move in a conventional way. We're all, like, programmed with platform-style games to be moving from left
to right.
right.
Yeah, and being it.
Yeah, you think about any platform-style game, and that's the way you move. And we know from any of the Metroids that it's more of an open world, more of like an open labyrinth.
Yeah.
You move in all directions.
Yep.
But right from the off, they've got you. You move left to right because you're programmed to, and it's a dead end.
Yes, yeah. I loved that because we started playing, we were like, we're stuck already.
First screen. No,
first 5 seconds.
Right to left.
Yeah.
And you know, because there's a dead end and a door you can't progress through, you're going to have to come all the way back up here
one day.
Point.
Yeah.
When you've got a certain weapon to open that door, you're going to have to come back up.
Definitely.
And the combination of the environment, the graphics, the music, and that initial puzzle just sets the tone perfectly for the whole game.
Yeah, it is a big, like, this is what's going to be happening throughout. Like, you know, you're going to meet these kind of things constantly.
Yeah, get used to it.
But what I really liked, comparing it back to the original, like NES Metroid, was Metroid 1 was very, very samey. Like all the, because we're on the topic of like maps and sort of the environment, very, very samey. Like you said, it was more like a dungeon crawler. The difference was like, okay, this tube of like stuff is yellow, and then the other one's like it's like blue. Whereas this one's like totally different, like worlds apart, like whole sort of environments, really. Like you go through one area and it is like sort of grassy and whatever, and it feels like alive, and then you go through the next door, or maybe like somewhere else, and then you're like underground, or you're like almost like in hell or something, because there's like lava everywhere, and all the enemies reflect the environment that they've evolved in or whatever. And I love that.
With the NES version, the enemies changing was typically, there was obviously numerous numbers of sprites, but they would change color.
They
were the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
On this, it's like you're in a different zone, totally different creatures live there. Obviously, you progress from, I can't remember what they're called. We gave them silly names like cafeteria and brain tree. You progress through, and not only is the environment different, the creatures are different, but the soundtrack changes as well to reflect the area, which is obvious of games of that era, but when you've come from playing the earlier version, it's missing. It's huge, and the soundtrack's awesome.
I was going to say the sound is just brilliant. Like we were sat there like humming along to it or whatever for the whole time of playing, and it really helps that immersion. So they've really tried to make this a fully fledged like experience. It's not just this game's hard, try beat it. It's like experience Samus's mission, you know, become her, like, and sort of like
joining on this adventure.
And you get that, like you said, from the very start, where you see the ship land and then it's raining and stuff, and you're like, oh, you know, this ain't great, like conditions. And then you go through all these different areas, and you kind of feel it more, and especially that music becomes tense or like a little bit softer in some areas or whatever, and it kind of sets you up like for what you're going to experience, for sure.
The thing I really enjoyed with it was, by the point in which this game had come out, 94, the developers had really figured out how to put in learning curves into games properly.
100%,
Like, we're not going to chuck you in full of enemies straight away.
With nothing.
We're gonna ease you in, and you start off and there's no creatures around. And you may come back to an area and now there's more creatures. Now you've got more abilities. You have the ability to slowly learn with the game as it progressively gets harder, rather than it just being like a binary. It starts, it's hard. And with number 1, I think you only start with like 20 health. I think you 35. You come
is it 35?
Something like that.
Like
anyway.
Something stupid. It's like you're already set to fail.
From the start. But obviously in this version, you land, you've got full health, at least one cell of it. You can save. So
it's massive difference.
So if you die, you can go back to the save room and restart.
And there's an actual map, which is excellent. And the other thing, obviously, is that sort of just the controls. The controls are so different. The fact that you can crouch shoot,
diagonal shoot.
And
shoot down. Shoot with the shoulder button, so you don't have to move and do it.
So right trigger points you up and at an angle, left trigger points you down and at an angle, which is something new, and that was like massively appreciated.
And you were given at least initially, you were given a lot of power-ups quite quickly. Got rockets really quickly, morph ball, morph bombs, all quite quick.
Definitely, like pretty much straight away. Like, and whereas in the first one, no, and there was like big gaps between the next power up, whereas on this one it was like you get one and then like very shortly you get another, and then it's like, oh wow, okay, and then that sort of opens up like what direction you want to go in, because you're always locked into certain areas because of the lack of upgrades you have. So once you get these upgrades, you're trying to then rack your brains as to, hang on,
I use that?
Have I seen somewhere I can only get like with the morph ball bombs or like, you know, with this shot or with the missiles, and like the doors are color coded now. So it's much easier to like see, okay, I need to shoot 5 bombs or whatever on this door, missiles, sorry, to like get through there. Or then you've got the super missiles, which are the green doors, and that kind of thing. And it definitely makes more sense.
There was one hilarious part of the controls and the gameplay mechanics that we hadn't touched upon, and that was the ability to run fast or run.
Yeah.
Because we had been Metroid bashing, as it were, we'd come from the era where you only had 2 buttons, and now you got 4.
Yep.
And when you start, the first thing you do is I'll learn the controls, and you tap the buttons, and you go, oh, that's fire, that's jump. Okay, cool, off we go. And I think it's Y. If you hold Y or green and in a direction, you'll run faster.
No, it was B.
Was it B?
Yeah, yellow B.
That was it. So if you hold B and run, you run faster. And we just totally unaware.
We didn't know that. Yeah.
Until like we're a good hour and a half in.
Easily, yeah. Because when we started, like you said, we picked up the controls, pressed everything, and went, B doesn't do anything. So we just ignored it.
Why is B not fire?
Yeah, and X is fire instead.
Which is a little bit counterintuitive.
A little bit strange. I was like, I'd rather it be Y or something like that. But yeah, we were like stuck on this level, which you're probably looking at right now.
We were literally stuck there for ages.
Yeah.
Had to restart the game because we thought maybe we're missing an ability and we're now trapped here because the door shuts behind you.
So we went back and did every sort of area first again.
I went all the way to the top of the map again because I thought we must have missed something.
Yeah. And then we realised that you can run by holding B, and that's the only way to get over the blocks that disappear when you touch them with spikes above your head.
Yeah.
So you can't jump, you can't roll, because as soon as you touch them, you fall.
Yeah.
But instead, you have to run across them.
Which makes loads of sense when you know.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's what is difficult with these games now. They don't come with instruction manuals, digital games.
Yes.
This has obviously been we played this on the SNES Mini. You can play it on the Switch Online, but again, no instruction manuals.
Yeah.
So you are just guessing. So I had to Google it, like how to get past this place, and it was like, just run.
Yeah. Just run.
Oh, there's a button for run. Okay.
And we were there like pressing all the buttons, and it was like, oh, it's the one that had no use.
Which obviously doesn't.
Which is, exactly.
But yeah, when you go to the quality of life, and talk about controls in particular, it's a really enjoyable game to play. It's very forgiving, whereas on the NES version, the jump mechanics and the accuracy was savagely hard. You were never sure how far you were going to jump with that, and I would always have a tendency to underjump. You probably had a tendency to overjump on that game. You were always second guessing yourself. On this, not so much. It was a bit more forgiving.
Yeah, it was a bit easier to sort of land, and it could be just because we'd practiced with the original, so we were honed our skills a bit quicker.
Yeah.
But it definitely just felt more fluid, like all around. It just made more sense, and it was enjoyable. Like we didn't want to stop playing it.
No, I want to jump back into the save point. To be fair,
It was like we didn't want to put it down. It was like, I would happily jump back into that. Whereas Metroid 1, I'd be like, I'm done with that. I'll just play Zero Mission.
Yeah,
But it's one of those.
So, who is this? Is this just for the diehards? I think I know your answer.
No, definitely not. This is for anyone looking to get into Metroid.
Yeah,
definitely.
So if you're like us and you're waiting for Dread to land, we made the mistake of wanting to go through in some chronology and play from the start of the story.
Yep.
If I'm honest, I wouldn't bother. I would jump in on this Super Metroid.
Yep.
It's an awesome experience, and it's accessible to literally everyone that's got a Switch.
Yeah, which is nearly 100 million people.
Yeah, most of you are going to have the Switch Online account.
Yeah, at least 50%, I'd say, maybe.
Go on to the Super Nintendo emulator that's on there. It's there, free to play, which is, when I think about it, it's pretty mental.
It's great. Just use the D-pad, don't use the joysticks.
Yeah, we'll say it over and over again. Any retro game we play, especially from the 16 or the 8-bit era, use a digital controller. So if you're playing on the Switch, use the D-pad. If you're lucky enough to be not like Andy and have one of the SNES controllers for your Switch, use that. We use the remade SNES controller that comes with the SNES Mini or SNES Classic. The digital controls, it's what it's made for, it's what it's made with. If you were using an analog stick, you would suffer hard at this game.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because you're not going to have... You've got on or off input
Yeah.
On analog, obviously, you've got varying degrees, but the game will read it as on or off.
Yeah. So any slight movement, no. I made that mistake with Zero Mission. Like if I put it down for a bit or like took a break, came back, my automatic thing was to start using the joystick on the Wii U controller.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why am I sucking? And then I was like, oh hang on, I'm using that. I'm not using the D-pad. Back to the D-pad, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
So don't use the analog stick.
It's definitely one I'd recommend, not just for the diehards, for the people that are just casually interested in what all the hype is about Dread coming, or just the Metroid franchise in general.
Definitely.
Awesome game to play, free to play. Definitely check it out on your account.
Yeah, do it.
So about wraps it up, I reckon.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe wherever you find us. We are 128KB all over the interwebs. That's Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and most importantly, our website, which is 128kb.co.uk. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.